What if your most heartfelt prayer is actually the very thing delaying your breakthrough? Sounds harsh, right? But stay with me, because this might flip everything you thought you knew about faith, about asking, and about why certain desires still haven't come to life. You pray, you hope, you believe, but deep down there's a quiet frustration. Why hasn't it happened yet? And that question might be the clue. Neville Goddard taught something radical. Your words don't create, your state does. And if your prayers are soaked in longing instead of presence, you might be unknowingly reinforcing lack. This isn't about giving up prayer, it's about transforming it, turning it from an act of asking into an act of being. What comes next could change the way you manifest forever. Some people pray with such passion they end up in tears, yet nothing changes. And it's not because God didn't hear them. It's because the way most of us were taught to pray keeps us locked in a future-based mindset, always asking, waiting, hoping. But life doesn't respond to what you want tomorrow. It mirrors what you're being now. Praying without assuming the state is like watering a seed and then digging it up 5 seconds later to check if it sprouted. Neville Goddard didn't dismiss prayer, he redefined it. To him, prayer wasn't about begging, it was about embodying the end, feeling it real. When a prayer is soaked in lack, what shows up is more absence. The universe doesn't react to desire, it reflects state. And if your state is, "I'm still waiting," then waiting is exactly what you'll keep getting. Picture someone praying every night, "God, please bless me with peace." But the moment they say amen, they go back to worry, fear, and looking for proof. That's not a prayer. It's rehearsing doubt wrapped in sacred words. The kind of prayer that blocks manifestation looks like this. You say the right things, but your feeling tells a different story. And in the next topic, you'll see how repeating the same request may be silently exposing your inner disbelief. Have you ever caught yourself asking for the same thing over and over again, day after day, night after night? At first it feels like devotion, like faith, but look a little deeper. If you truly believed it was already done, would you still be repeating the same request? Repetition often isn't a sign of belief. It's a symptom of doubt dressed up as persistence. When someone prays every day, "Please let it happen, please let it happen," what they're really saying beneath the words is, "It hasn't happened yet, I don't believe it's here." This is the silent conflict Neville pointed out. What you feel matters more than what you say. So even if your lips are speaking faith, if your feeling is screaming fear, guess which one creates your reality? The feeling always wins. Imagine someone ordering food, then rushing back to the counter every 5 seconds asking, "Is it ready yet? Are you sure you got my order?" That's what repetitive prayer looks like in the eyes of consciousness. It doesn't speed up the process, it disrupts it. It keeps you anchored to the absence, not the outcome. And as we move forward, you'll see why constantly asking keeps you stuck in the loop of seeking instead of stepping into being. There's a quiet difference that changes everything. Asking tries to reach for something, but being already holds it. And that difference? It's where most people get stuck. They think they're manifesting, but their posture is still one of pursuit. The truth is, when you're asking, you're saying, subtly but clearly, "This is not my reality yet." And the law of assumption doesn't respond to wanting, it responds to knowing. Neville Goddard used to say, "You must live from the state, not toward it." And that's the missing piece for most. They keep trying to get there through prayer, instead of assuming they're already there in being. So when someone prays, "Please give me love," their inner world still sees themselves without it. And consciousness, like a mirror, reflects back the absence, not the desire. It's not about the words. It's about the identity you wear when you speak them. Think of it this way. When you're in a relationship, you don't ask every day, "Am I loved?" You just are loved. You live from it. You feel it. You assume it. That's the shift your prayer needs. Move from petition to embodiment. Stop knocking on the door and start walking in like it's your house. And in the next part, we'll look at the hidden beliefs that keep you standing outside, even when the door's already open. Sometimes the very things we think are signs of faith are actually signs of fear in disguise. I just need to pray a little harder. Maybe God will hear me this time. If I keep asking, maybe it'll show up. These thoughts sound spiritual, but they quietly reveal a deeper belief. It's not mine yet. And when you carry that belief into your prayers, you're planting seeds in the soil of doubt. Many people have been taught that the more they pray, the more likely they'll be heard. But what if that very effort is what's keeping the blessing away? Not because God is withholding, because you haven't accepted it as already done. Neville pointed out that faith isn't measured by how many times you say the words, It's shown in how deeply you live from the state of having. A person who knows doesn't beg, they walk differently. Unspoken blocks are sneaky. They sound like discipline, but they echo lack. They make you feel like you have to earn the answer, instead of realizing you already are the answer. These beliefs act like emotional gravity, pulling you down just when you're trying to rise, and once you see them, you can release them. In the next part, we'll shift from this cycle of asking to the power of living in the end, where prayer becomes presence. Here's where it all flips. Instead of praying for something to happen, you start living as if it already has. That's what Neville meant by live in the end. It's not fantasy, it's alignment. You don't beg for healing, you embody wholeness. You don't plead for love, you walk like someone already embraced. When your inner world shifts like that, the outer world begins to rearrange in ways you can't predict. But you can trust. Begging keeps you small. It keeps the desire over there, like a carrot on a stick you never quite reach. But living in the end means you carry the energy of the result now. You walk through life with the confidence that it's already yours, not because you faked it, but because you felt it. That's the secret most miss. They ask with their mouths, but deny with their state. And the state is what speaks loudest. Think of it like this. If you were already successful, how would you talk? How would you breathe? What choices would you make tonight? That's what living in the end feels like. It's not a mental trick, it's an energetic decision. You're choosing to be it before the world confirms it. And when prayer shifts into that frequency, it stops echoing off the walls and starts creating. Now let's talk about the one ingredient that brings it all to life: feeling. Neville said it plainly. Feeling is the secret. Not words, not volume, feeling. It's the emotional current beneath the prayer that activates your inner world. You can say, "I am abundant," 1,000 times, but if deep down you feel scared, ashamed, or unworthy, that's the true message being broadcast. Words without feeling are like seeds on concrete. They don't take root. Feeling is the bridge between imagination and manifestation. It's how you move from theory to reality. You're not just thinking about the life you want. You're tasting it, breathing it, letting it color your entire inner atmosphere. And when the feeling matches the thing desired, something shifts. You start walking differently. You speak with a knowing, and prayer becomes less of a ritual and more of a resonance. Most people skip this part because they're too focused on saying it right. But this isn't about performance, it's about embodiment. You're not trying to impress a divine being, you're tuning into the version of you that already has. That's what moves mountains. That's what makes prayer magnetic. And in the next topic, we'll get practical, because it's time to shift prayer from asking to being. So how do you actually do it? How do you shift your prayer from pleading into presence? Start simple. Instead of saying, "God, please help me find peace," try this: "I am peace. I rest in your stillness." Notice the tone. It's not a request, it's a recognition. This kind of prayer doesn't wait for proof, it creates it, because it's rooted in being, not hoping. Take a few minutes alone. Close your eyes. Speak your desire in the present tense. "I am healthy. I am deeply loved. I am guided." Not just with your words, but with your feeling. Let it settle in your body like a warm memory. That's where the shift happens. It's not about forcing belief, it's about touching that state within you, even for a moment. That moment becomes a seed that starts to grow. You can turn any moment into a realignment, driving, showering, sitting in silence. Instead of repeating, "Please fix this," breathe and declare, "This is already being resolved through me." It's subtle but powerful. You're stepping into the state that creates. You're no longer waiting, you're embodying. And as we move on, you'll learn how to recognize the signs that your inner prayer has truly shifted. You'll know something has shifted, not because lightning strikes, but because you feel different. There's a stillness where there used to be urgency. A soft inner yes where there was once noise and need. That's one of the first signs: peace. You're not trying to force things into place anymore. You trust that they're already aligning, even if you don't see it yet. Another sign? Your intuition gets louder than your anxiety. Instead of obsessing over when and how it'll happen, you get nudges, gentle inner prompts, a pull to go somewhere, speak to someone, take a small inspired action. These aren't random, they're the outflow of your new state. Your inner world has changed, so now reality starts shifting to catch up, sometimes in subtle, almost imperceptible ways. And then there are the synchronicities, a phone call at the right time, a message that speaks directly to your situation, A door opens without you even knocking. These aren't coincidences. They're confirmations. They don't prove your prayer was heard. They reveal that you've become the version who lives as if it's already done. And in the next part, you'll see what to do when nothing seems to be happening. There's a moment in every journey where it feels like nothing's happening. You've prayed, felt, imagined, and yet silence. No signs, no movement. This is where many people give up or fall back into old habits of begging and doubting. But here's the truth, that silence isn't punishment. It's gestation. The invisible is still working, shaping your external based on your internal. Neville called this the bridge of incidents. It means that even when you don't see the final outcome yet, life is already in motion. And if you break the state now, if you start pleading again, you interrupt that flow. The work here is to hold the feeling, even in the quiet, to stay in the energy of it is done when nothing outside confirms it. That's real faith, not blind, but embodied. It's in this gap that most people go back to asking. But if you can stay rooted, the shift becomes inevitable. Think of a seed underground. You can't see it sprout the moment it breaks open, but it's happening. And the more you feel it real, the more you nurture that unseen becoming. In the next and final topic, we'll bring it all together. The kind of prayer that no longer asks but creates. This is where prayer becomes something entirely different. Not a tool to get, but a way to become. You're not asking the universe to change. You're becoming the person for whom this is already true. That's the essence of the law of assumption. You don't say, one day I'll be free. You declare, freedom is who I am. And you live from that truth, quietly, consistently, inwardly. Prayer stops being a moment and starts becoming a state. It's not something you do, it's something you carry. You walk through the world aligned with your fulfilled desire. You feel it in your breath, your posture, your presence. You don't chase results, you radiate them. And as Neville said, imagination creates reality, not later, but now. Every inner state is a seed. What you embody, you eventually encounter. So, instead of repeating another request tonight, try resting in the end. Breathe like it's already yours. Let gratitude replace urgency. Let peace be your proof. You're not trying to convince anyone, not even God. You're stepping into harmony with what's already available. And now that you've seen this path, we're ready to go deeper, starting with a truth most people aren't prepared to hear. So now the question is no longer, how do I make it happen? But, am I living as if it's already done? That shift changes everything, because the moment you stop pleading and start embodying, life stops resisting and starts responding. You don't need louder prayers, you need deeper presence. Ask yourself, what would it look like if I truly believed it's already mine? How would I think, feel, and act if the answer was already here? Start living those questions. Let them guide your energy, your choices, your state, because the reality you're waiting for is simply waiting for you to become it. If this opened your eyes or stirred something in your heart, subscribe to the channel now and turn on notifications. This is just the beginning. We're going deeper and you won't want to miss what's coming next.